No, you haven't clicked onto the wrong channel. This is not going to be a cooking show, but we're back in the kitchen and we're looking at some of the best additives that you can buy from your local supermarket. So without further ado, let's go through them and find out when I use them, why I use them. Maybe I don't use them, but could look at using them in the future. So without further ado, let's go through them one by one. So bait additives, they're one of the most divisive subjects in match fishing, to be honest with you. And fishing in general, it's got to be said. And I must admit, I've got a real roller coaster love-hate relationship with flavours. One minute I absolutely love them and I can't get enough of them and I've got to use them. And then other times, I'm just not that bothered and I actually go more towards using nothing at all. But that being said, there are things that you can use that definitely make a difference. And I think that my chub fishing has really opened my eyes to how much your bait actually pulls fish into your swim and how much having the right thing at the right time can make a big difference. Now, I'm not saying these are magic ingredients or anything like that, but if we can pimp our baits up, make them a little bit more attractive, and give them that extra pulling power, then why not? And the best thing about this is, all of these bits and pieces are available in the supermarket. Now obviously the tackle shop is full of great additives, liquids, flavours, you name it, bait additives. There's just everything in the tackle shop, but there's some really good stuff in the supermarket, like quality ingredients that are probably in a lot of the fishing bait anyway. So in front of me I've just got 11 of probably the best ones you can get in your local supermarket. They range from Marmite, which is a yeast extract, to tuna, to Bailey's, all sorts of different bits and bobs. So let's get through them one by one and show you how to use them, but also why they're so effective. Number one, salt. I absolutely love adding salt to my bait, and last year I had a really good run on using paste, and what I was doing, I was feeding hemp and I'd liberally coated in salt. Now what I use is a nice sea salt like this one, or even like a Himalayan pink salt. That's a really good salt, that is. I ain't got any of that, I've actually used it all from my hemp in the summer. But just as it is with us, like, we need salt, animals need salt, fish need salt in the diet. And it is a big, big edge, salt is. Loads of the ground baits these days have got a salty edge to them. Anglers have really realised that a bit of salt goes a long way in your bait. And I think it's a big, big edge. Like, probably massively underused in match fishing circles. Just a great, great product. I don't even think you can overdo it. It's just one of those things that you can add to your bait and it works a treat. Even when I'm like, nowadays, even when I'm doing my micro pellet, I always include a bit of this. So I put my water on my micros, put a bit of salt in it, and it just fills me with confidence. Now, it's one of those things, like when I was doing a lot of my chub fishing, I used really salty baits on that, and I chuck it into the river, and I'm just totally confident in what I'm doing. And I think as long as that is the case, then you're just going to catch more fish because you're confident in what you're doing. And I strongly believe that salt is a massive edge. Like I say, you can use the coarse stuff, either Himalayan or like sea salt. Get some good quality stuff. It's a bit less harsh when you taste it compared to like table salt, but get some good stuff. If you put it in like wafters or hook pellets or whatever, put it in there, put it in your paste, put it in your loose feed. You don't need a lot. It's deadly effective. Salt is a real winner, and it's one that match anglers don't talk about at all. So these are just some of my favourite additives. Let me know in the comments some of the ones that you use, whether it's in the supermarket or whether it's in the tackle shop. Let me know in the comments below. Number two is garlic. Now you can go down a few different routes with garlic, and I've got to be honest, I remember when I was a kid, I used to grow up, and I think Rob Hitchens was like one of the big names at the time, and he like launched some pellets and stuff that had garlic in them. And I couldn't get my head around why garlic was even a thing. Like, why would we use garlic? But having, I'm going to refer back to my chub fishing again. Using garlic in my bait has been a big thing. Like, I've actually used it an awful lot, and it's been really effective. I put it in my cheese paste. I put it in, I like coat my boilies in it. I do all sorts with garlic, and you can use it in a few different ways. You can buy garlic granules like this is, which absolutely stink. It's a super fine powder. I mean, you've probably smelled that in some baits, to be honest with you, that smell, that garlic granule smell. You can buy garlic salt, so that ticks two jobs, so you can get, because when I'm chub fishing, I put both in, salt and garlic, so if you can find garlic salt, you're getting the best of both worlds. If you want to use fresh garlic, be my guest, like mush it up and mush it into your bait, but give it a go. It's a real winner is garlic. Super cheap, very effective. It's got that smell. I've opened that lid now and I can smell it. Again, just like the salt, it's something the specimen guys are using a lot more than match anglers. But I've got to be honest, it's one of them baits that definitely could work. And I remember back in the day when we used to use luncheon meat and meat fishing was all the rage, people were loving garlic meat. So something that really works. And if you're a barbel angler, I know that a lot of the barbel men are using garlic flavoured pellets as well. So garlic, definitely one to use. Combine it with salt or just use it on its own. Brilliant, brilliant additive. Next one, tuna. Now, if you're growing up in the area that I grew up in, you'd have all learned and watched from like the Corda videos. Absolute masters of marketing, and they were one of the first to really do all them like DVDs and stuff. And I grew up watching them, and everything they did had tuna in it. They'd make up the spod mix, smash it all in there, along with the hemp and pellets and corn and boilies and stuff. And I had a lot of success using it. And it makes perfect sense. It's packed with protein, it's very fishy. And my dad especially used to add this to his ground bait all the time. And he's like, use it almost to mix his ground bait because there's obviously the water or the brine in it or whatever. Smash it in his ground bait, mix it all together, and you got that lovely fishy smell. It's a natural ingredient. You can't go wrong with stuff like this because it's just going to give you added attraction without actually like harming. You're not putting chemicals in your bait. You're not putting an artificial something in your bait. You're putting real fish in it. And I think that anything like that is a massive, massive edge. If you went into the sea with a bit of this, sprinkle it in the edge in the sea, you'd have all little fish around it. Fish love it. So definitely check out tuna. Very, very versatile. Get it in your paste, get it in your ground bait. Well worth a try. Next one is carnation, condensed milk. I'm a big one about using sweeteners at the moment. I've been using a lot of sweeteners in my ground bait. I use the sonubaits bait booster quite simply because it's easy. It's obviously I'll pour it in, but if I didn't have any of that and I just wanted to make up my own version of it, I'd probably use condensed milk. Obviously it's full of milk anyway, so you're getting all that lovely milk protein and all the nutritional benefits that go along with that, but you're getting amazing sweetness with this. Just, I mean, when you open it up, I'm going to show you how to prepare it in a moment, and a little soak I'm going to do and mix some ground bait. I'm actually going fishing tomorrow, and I'm going to use this to mix my ground bait up, but I'll show you that in a moment. It just adds a complexity, like a sweetness that you just can't get in artificial products, and I just think that it's such a good one, and it's amazing. And anything you got left over, you can make toffee with it or something like that, because it tastes beautiful. Anyone who's had condensed milk before, the sweetness is unparalleled. So definitely one to try. It's dirt cheap. You get it in every supermarket. Brilliant in your desserts. And an even better bait additive that, again, match anglers, we just aren't aware of this sort of stuff. Skimmers, etc. love sweet things. Carp have a real sweet tooth too. And we can really tap into that with something like condensed milk. Real winner, that is. Oh, that smells good. Baileys. Now, carp anglers are big into using alcohol on their baits. Now, again, I'm going to go back to my youth. Grew up reading the Angler's Mail. I always remember Bill Rushmer always used to put vodka and stuff like that in his pastes. Now, it's something that I've not used a lot of, but as I was walking around the supermarket the other day, I know that Baileys is a super additive. Now, Baileys is an Irish cream. It's absolutely delicious to drink. So if you just want to, you know, probably just not even use it in your bait, be my guest. But it is a brilliant, brilliant bait additive. And I'm going to combine it with this to make a little potion that we're going to mix our ground bait up with. But on its own, it's a brilliant additive. If you want to just put it in your pellets, if you want to put it on your wafters, on your hook baits, brilliant, brilliant additive this is. There's something about alcohol that fish love. We love it, fish love it. Bailey's a real good one. And if you don't want to buy a real one, you can get down Aldi, buy the cheap version, the knockoff version. I've heard it's just as good, but I'm quite partial to a bit of this myself, so a little bit for the fish, a little bit for me. Okay, so I want to quickly show you what I do with the old condensed milk. And it's I'm going to make a little additive that I'm going to use to mix my ground bait for tomorrow's fishing session. And we're going to do it by combining the Baileys and the carnation. You could put other goodies in there, but those two, I'm getting this. I mean, I don't know if you've tried carnation straight out of the tin, but oh my God. I mean, that is the tastiest thing on the planet. It's just unbelievable. Just beautiful. And like I say, it's full of good stuff. And whether it's better than what you can buy in a tackle shop, who am I to say? But it's beautiful and it's natural and it's what we want to be using. So I think that you can make up your own little sweetening agent that's just as good as what you buy in the tackle shop. So I've got my pan on a really low heat, and what I'm going to try and do is combine these together until I get a really runny liquid that I can then use to mix my ground bait, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to put a nice little glug of that in. And we're going to, if you were to, that's going to be more than enough. If you were to heat this too quickly or for too long, it turned to toffee. Could be great if you wanted to eat a bit of toffee. But what we're trying to do is just create a ground bait mixing liquid. So keep it on the move. Just got, like I said, I've got my hob on. This is like an induction hob, so it's just as lowest setting it'll go, and I'm just moving it around. I'm just trying to free it up. That's looking good straight away. Like I say, I've got to be careful with this. We don't want to bake it because it'll either burn it or it'll turn it into toffee, and we don't want that. And what we're going to make this supercharged method mix using this. And then the next thing, once that's going, you just want to, like I say, just gently warm it through. Next thing is to add a good glug of the old Baileys. Oh. These fish get trapped better than I do. And we're making this lovely, creamy alcohol additive that, like I say, is as good as it can get, really. And it might be something that you're not seen before. It might be something that you've seen in like carp fishing shows. But this stuff really does work, and the Baileys really does work. I mean, it's just... I mean, that just tastes amazing. You've got that beautiful sweet, combined with that creamy Baileys flavour. It's sort of, I can taste a bit of alcohol in there. I just think that is just, I mean, look at that. That's just amazing. And it's because I've heated it up just slightly. You could use that straight from the tin, I'm sure. But because I'm heating it up, it's going lovely and runny, like almost like, not like water, but you know what I mean. It's freed up now. You can see that. Totally different to what it was like a minute ago when we got it out of the tin. And I'm just going to warm that through, and then I'm going to quickly whiz around, knock up some ground bait using it. And like I say, you can do as much as you want, but do it nice and fresh. And that, you could glug your bait in it. You could, I mean, it just tastes ridiculous. That's so good. So without further ado, let's get spun round. Let's set the cameras up, and we'll quickly mix up some ground bait using this as an additive. Yeah, that's divine. Okay, so I'm just going to knock up a really small batch of ground bait. I think it's probably going to be a pellet day, but I like to always have a bit of ground bait with me. Ground bait and maggots, that kind of thing can work really well. So I'm just going to put in just a small amount of Thatchers in there. I really like Thatchers as a ground bait. It's just a good all-rounder. And we're going to mix it using that beautiful concoction. Oh, this is just a nightmare. We're going to mix it using this beautiful concoction we've made. So let's get that over here. Let's get that straight in there. Now I might have to add a bit more powder, but we'll see how it goes. Just get that in there. And I'm actually going to use my spoon because it seems like the smart thing to do. It smells amazing. Honestly, I can't describe. Like if you were making up a skimmer ground bait with that, just going to be amazing. Now obviously it's going to be sticky, so just be mindful of that. I'm just going to add a touch more powder, and we're just going to use it. And it's good to do this the night before because obviously the ground bait's going to take it all in, and you're just going to get a beautiful ground bait that goes around the method feeder. That's probably a bit more sticky than what you'd used to, but you know, at this time of year when you're waiting for bites, it doesn't matter that it's a bit of a slow breakdown job. Like I say, it takes a bit of working in because at the end of the day you're using a very, very sticky ground bait now. You've got a sticky liquid, should I say, but it's coming together. Just make sure you get that dry into there, best you can, and then do it the day before, like we have. And then tomorrow, when we get on the bank, we'll push it through a riddle, and you'll have a beautiful ground bait. But that's just going to be like a supercharged method mix. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be amazing. And that's just, I can see it's working into there already. Just like water would, but obviously it's a bit stickier than water. And that's going to be a lovely ground bait mix tomorrow. You can see it. We'll pass that through a riddle tomorrow. You can smell, obviously you can smell the Thatchers. I've gone for Thatchers Dark on this occasion because it is winter. But I bet if I taste that, yeah, I can really taste the sweet coming through. So we're just getting that, we're not interrupting the smell as it was, we're just getting a bit of a creamy smell in there. But ultimately, we've got that flavour in there. Just for any doubters that ground bait won't come around with that concoction in there. Look at that, that's just been for a riddle once. Nice and tacky still, it breaks down nice. And I can smell the Baileys and the taste of sweetness because I just tried a bit. There you go, proof that it works. Now sticking with the sweetener theme, honey is a massive, massive one for that. Put a bit of honey in your ground bait. If you want that sweetness, I've been using like F1 Dark, Thatcher's, and then like Bait Booster to sweeten it, but something like honey is just as good, if not better. If you want to be a real connoisseur, you can get Manuka honey, which is about 10 quid a jar. I got some local honey that I put on my porridge and stuff that's beautiful. I can imagine it'd be amazing. To be honest, I don't want to waste it, so they're getting Co-op's own. But if you just want to put it in your mixing water, if you want to drizzle it over your pellets, be my guest, it's a brilliant additive and it's a real intense sweetener. Honey is a very complex ingredient, there's loads of stuff going on in there. It's just brilliant. We love it, fish love it. It's just a great sweetener. There's loads of carp anglers put this in the bait. They put it in boilie recipes and stuff. And it's probably one of the best sweeteners around, and it's not artificial. So again, you can't really overdo it. So give honey a try, it can be really good. So I spoke a lot about sweet ingredients and alcohol-based ones. Now we're going to get onto something a bit different, and this is hot curry powder. Now there's loads of spices. Spices are, again, we're borrowing it from the carp world, but I always remember growing up, my dad was obsessed with it, and people in our club was obsessed with using luncheon meat with powdered curry powder on top of it as a real like hot winter edge, and it was a brilliant hook bait. I've caught loads of fish with it over the years, literally casting a bomb of meat out, coated in curry powder or a spice. Now it's no secret that fish are attracted to spice. It also has a benefit that it helps, it like gets things moving in the gut. So in the winter when they're having trouble digesting stuff, spice actually helps the stuff move through the tummy. So it can be a very, very good additive. Like I say, you can use whichever one you want. There's loads of different spices out there. You can go for like a really strong smelling one, something like paprika. You can use ginger, you can use whatever. But curry powder is a great one. Sprinkle it on a bit of cubed meat or punch some meat, like 8mm, 10mm hook baits out. Sprinkle a bit of that on, it can be a real winner. It's dirt cheap, you don't need a lot. You can put it in hemp, you can put it in all sorts. You can use chili flakes. But ultimately, it's a very, very good additive. And like tomorrow, I'm going out. I am actually going to use a bit of bomber meat. I'm going to do a bit of bomber meat fishing. And I'm going to prepare my meat using this. So I've gone for the spicy one. That is the 3 chilies out of 4. So it's pretty up there. It's hot. So that's going to give it a real like punch to your bait. Just give them something else to home in on. Real winner in the winter is hot, spicy curry powder. Now there's all kind of magic powders for your maggots at the moment out there available, and they're all great, I'm sure. But good old turmeric is an absolute winner, and it's one that I have used on and off for so long. In fact, when I used to work at Match Fishing magazine with Dave Harrell, who is an absolute river fishing legend, he used to actually go to Indian supermarkets and Asian supermarkets and buy big bags of it, because he didn't actually like to use bronze maggots. He liked to use white maggots and dye them himself with turmeric. Now it does a couple of different things. Obviously you get the colour, you get that lovely yellow colour on your maggots. So if you buy white maggots, put this on it, you get that lovely yellow, almost bronze-like colour. You get a lovely subtle smell, because turmeric doesn't smell that strong, but it's quite subtle, but it is nice. And it also degreases your maggots, and a bit like how maize does. Again, you can't overdo it, you just want a nice amount on there. It's a real winner is turmeric, and again, if you wanted to put it on meat, corn, anything like that, it works for that as well. But as a maggot degreaser and a maggot dye, turmeric's well worth it. And it's another spice that is probably in your cupboard anyway, but well worth using. Now the next two are quite similar, and you either love them or you hate them. Marmite is one of the most divisive products you can get in a supermarket. I know my missus absolutely loves it, and I've got to be honest, not a big fan. However, fish love it. Now they're yeast extracts. Obviously we've got Bovril and we've got Marmite. Fundamentally they're yeast extracts. Fish absolutely love yeast. Again, it's one of the massive ingredients when it comes to bait making in carp fishing. It's full of enzymes, full of active enzymes that, again, helps the fish digest bait, but ultimately they're very attractive anyway. Great additives these. Again, you can use them in a number of different ways, but I actually like, and I have done this loads in the past, is making my own little sort of liquid food, if you like. Something that I'll use to then mix my paste up with. I'm letting out all my secrets here. So in the summer, for example, I'll often mix my paste up the night before, and what I'll do with my mixing water, I'll put a nice dollop of salt in, and then I'll put a real big spoonful of that in, like Marmite, Don't tell the missus because I keep nicking hers. And then use that Marmite water to mix my paste with. It gives it a lovely smell, like a real meaty smell. Just delicious, really. I can't believe I don't like it because I like most things. And I spotted the Bovril one the other day and I thought, do you know what, that's really good. That's going to be a real winner, that one. So I've got some Bovril as well to try. Again, you're adding protein, you're adding yeast, you're adding enzymes, you're adding all sorts of good stuff. And if you want to get really technical, you can actually add yeast powder to that liquid, because the Marmite or the yeast extract in here will actually activate the yeast powder and it'll work together and you get an absolute brilliant additive that's alive. Your actual liquid's alive because it's full of like yeast that's doing its business in there. So it's a real winner, this is. Again, we're not as match anglers where we just put whatever we see in the tackle shop in, but stuff like this, full of vitamins, full of minerals, full of proteins, just an absolute quality additive. Really good. We all use molasses and things like that, and this is, again, just a really good one, food grade that you just can't overdo. Brilliant, brilliant bait, that is. And I'll certainly be using a lot more jars of this over the summer. Just proving that I do actually do this sort of stuff. That's Bovril in there. I'm going to use it. Got some micros that I'm going to use tomorrow. I'm just going to fill them up in my little Tupperware that I like to use. Touch my water, actually. Try and do this one-handed. Swirl it out. Get the good stuff in there. There you go. Yeast extract in there. And like I say, it's going to be a subtle flavour, but a lovely natural one. And that yeast sort of extract is a big thing. That yeasty thing is a big thing for carp. So yeah, give that a try. It can really work, and it smells great. So there you go, Bovril pellets. Nesquik is an absolute brilliant additive. If you're using like liquidized bread or like a nice skimmer ground bait or something like that, adding this can be brilliant. Obviously it smells amazing, there's loads of different flavours, really good. But what it is milk protein. And if you look at any of the big carp literature, milk proteins are one of the best types of bait around, and probably because we're so intent on using fish meals and fish meal pellets and stuff, we don't give that enough thought with our baits. But if you do want to give it a try, adding this to your ground bait or your pellets, again, can be a real edge, and it can be something that you can really love trying. It smells amazing, it's good like for the kids and stuff. I don't mind a bit of this actually in a bit of milk, but you're adding like, again, all of these things, the quality ingredients, and I think that's the thing that I'm find most important, that we're not adding chemicals. We're adding like this is milk protein powder essentially. We're adding proper ingredients to our bait, and I think that's a big thing. Like say, adding it to your liquidized bread or something like that just enhances the flavour of it and can be a real nice one. So you're bound to have some of this in your cupboard, so why not experiment with it? Now there's a few bonus ones, and there's a few that I've missed. There's black pepper, fish sauce, oyster sauce, things like that, OXO cubes. The list is endless. What I want you to go and do is take a few things with this list. You might have already used them. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know how you get on, and go into your cupboard and think what actually might work. Because there's loads of stuff in there, I'm sure, that you could probably use in your fishing that's probably better than the stuff that's in the tackle shops. The final one that I wanted to actually bring you to is a bit of a bonus one, is Red Bull. Now I've got no idea why this works, but for some reason this in paste is an absolute winner, and there's places where this is took apart. Now I'm led to believe that caffeine and taurine and stuff like that that's in Red Bull and other energy drinks is really attractive to carp. I don't know why, probably the same reason why we like it. But there's no doubting that people use this in their paste. I always remember being at angling shows and stuff and chatting to lads who have been using loads of Red Bull in the paste and having great success with it. I've used it. Again, it adds a nice smell. It changes the texture of your paste than when you're just using it with water. I've also heard anglers on natural venues using it to mix the ground bait with. So definitely Red Bull is one of those that, a bit outside the box, not too sure why it works. A bit like the alcohol thing. Not sure why the fish are attracted to alcohol, but why we're attracted to alcohol at the end of the day. There's something in it that we like, isn't there? And it's the same with these energy drinks. So definitely worth giving it a go. Right, so hopefully that's a bit of food for thought for you. Hopefully there's something there that you'll want to try in your fishing. What I will say is they're not like magic ingredients or anything, but they're all good quality additions. If you add any of these to your bait, you're not going to ruin it. That's one thing that I think is a big thing. Like sometimes you get like the fishing additives and you put them in and there could be one way or the other. You could feel like you're overdoing it, you could feel like you've not put enough in, whereas with these, they're all additives that you probably can't put too much in. They all work, they're all brilliant, they're all very available. Try them, you might be surprised at how well you do. So these are just some of my favourite additives. Let me know in the comments some of the ones that you use, whether it's in the supermarket or whether it's in the tackle shop. Let me know in the comments below.